Oh man, I gotta tell you something that completely rocked me. Not some trippy jungle ayahuasca thing, not a DMT breakthrough. This was real, ancient, alive. Mecca and Madina, man. I didn't see it coming, but it hit me right in the soul. It started like a joke, no lie. Colin Quinn and I were messing around on the podcast, talking about religion, spirituality, all that. And Colin goes, "Man, we should go to Mecca." Just dropped it like a bit. I laughed, hard, like, yeah, okay, bro, sure. But later that night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. You know how sometimes something sticks with you? That was this. I realized I knew absolutely nothing about Islam. Just the media version. Headlines, fear, noise, not the real thing. And I thought, what if we just went? Not as tourists, not to broadcast, just to witness, to be students of something older than anything we've touched. So we made it happen, got guidance, got permission, and we went. And man, the second I landed in Saudi Arabia, I could feel it. Not physically, not emotionally, spiritually. Like the air was thicker with meaning. But when we got to Mecca, bro, words don't do it justice. Standing in front of the Kaaba, the black cube at the center of it all, I went silent. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't dramatic. It was weighty, sacred. People around me crying, praying, walking in circles in total surrender. And I felt like I was watching something ancient, pure, but also like I'd always known it. The call to prayer echoed through the air, and man, it hit me in the chest. Not like music, not like sound, like a message your soul somehow understands before your brain catches up. And the people, dude, the people, they fed us, hugged us, thanked us just for being there. I've traveled a lot, seen a lot, but that kind of hospitality, that kind of humility, it's rare, it's sacred. We met this old man from Indonesia, probably pushing 80, barely walking. Told us he'd saved for 43 years to be there. And when he touched the marble, he broke down sobbing. That moment, man, it stayed with me. That wasn't religion. That was love, devotion. And here's the thing nobody tells you. Islam, in its true form, it's not about control. It's about rhythm, balance, surrender. Not to people, not to governments, but to truth, to something higher. Then we went to Medina. Bro, if Mecca is fire, Medina is water. It's softer, still intense, but in this gentle, profound way. We visited the Prophet's Mosque, and I swear, it felt like wisdom lived in the walls. There was a quiet there that made me want to whisper, even in my thoughts. I saw a little boy teaching his father how to recite a verse. That hit different. A child, guiding the parent. A moment of sacred reversal. And I just sat there, man, thinking, how much of that exists in the world I come from? When we got back to LA, it felt like noise. Everything was loud, fast, shiny, empty. I sat in front of the mic and just stared at it, like what am I even doing? So I made some changes. I started sitting in silence, just 5 minutes at a time, a few times a day. No phone, no agenda, just breathe. Intention. And it grounded me, man. Like Mecca had cleaned out my mental hard drive and Medina had installed a new operating system. Then came Ramadan. I tried fasting, not just skipping food. I mean really doing it. Before sunrise, no food, no water, no anger, no gossip, just stillness. Day 1, brutal. Day 3, still brutal. But by day 5, something clicked. I started hearing my real thoughts again. And when you break your fast with just a date and water, man, it tastes like heaven, like joy in its purest form. And you start to get it. You see why millions do this every year. Not as punishment, as remembrance, as a reset. Then I started reading the Quran. And man, I didn't read it to debate it. I read it like a student. And there were verses that felt like they were written just for me. This one crushed me. Indeed, in the remembrance of God, the hearts find rest. I read that, and just sat there. Because that's what I'd been looking for. Not stimulation, not adrenaline. Rest. For the soul. And I began to see how Islam isn't just belief. It's structure. It's family. It's discipline. I saw grown men crying in prayer, fathers holding their sons' hands into the mosque, people helping strangers with no expectation of return. Back home, I started calling my mom more, not to ask for anything, just to say thank you. I apologized to people I hadn't spoken to in years, people I ghosted out of ego or just being too damn busy, and most of them responded with love. And I thought, how much peace have I lost just because I didn't send the first message? That's what this whole experience gave me. Humility, real humility. Not performative, not Instagram deep, actual awareness that you're just a breath in this massive design. And that kind of realization, man, it changes everything. You stop obsessing over your brand, over the next guest, over the noise, and you start asking, who am I really serving? Myself, or something greater? People ask me now, are you Muslim? And I don't even know how to answer that, because it's not about labels anymore. It's about transformation, about direction. I'm not trying to tick a box. I'm just trying to walk toward the truth. And honestly, I'll never joke about someone's faith the same way again. Because behind every act of devotion is a story, a scar, a journey. And who am I to mock that? So yeah, man, Mecca and Medina changed me. Not in some dramatic Hollywood redemption arc way, but in a quiet, unshakable way. Like a reset I didn't know I needed. If you ever get the chance, go. Not to take photos, not to check it out. Go with your heart open. Because what you find there isn't just Islam. It's you. The real you. The one you've been running from in all the noise. And when you come back, I promise, you won't be the same. Not louder, not holier, just more awake. And since I've come back, man, things feel different. Not just in my head, but in my body, in how I move through the day. I don't reach for my phone first thing in the morning anymore. I don't scroll while I eat. I sit with my kids longer. I make eye contact more. Even something as small as standing in line. I'm not anxious to rush through it. I'm just there, aware, breathing. And you know what's wild? That silence I found in Medina, it stayed with me. I used to crave stimulation, podcasts, videos, news, debates. But now, I crave stillness. Even if it's 5 minutes in the car before I walk into the gym. And I've started seeing God in more places, in simple moments, in kindness from strangers, in the quiet between thoughts. It's not about becoming a monk. It's about remembering who you really are underneath all the layers of noise. That trip didn't make me religious in the traditional sense, but it woke something up. It reminded me that underneath all our labels and backgrounds, we're all just people trying to return to something true, something ancient, something bigger than us. I don't think you need to change your name or wear a robe or chant anything to get there. But I do think you've got to get quiet enough to hear what your soul is trying to tell you. So if you're listening to this and something inside you is stirring, don't ignore it. That's the signal, the call. Not a literal one, maybe, but a personal one. Your own version of the Adhan. A reminder that it's time to stop running, slow down, and just be still. That's what Mecca and Medina gave me. Not a destination, a direction. And for the first time in a long time, I know exactly where I'm facing. But the truth is, knowing where you're facing doesn't mean you've figured it all out. It just means you've stopped turning away. I used to think growth was about adding more books, more experience, more hustle. But after Mecca and Medina, I realized real growth is often about subtraction, stripping things away until what's left is real, pure, you. And man, one of the biggest things that got stripped away was my ego. Because in LA, we live by the ego. How many followers you got? How much are you benching? What's your next deal? Your next guest? Your next hit of validation? But in Mecca, no one cares who you are. There's no VIP line, no influencer access. You wear the same simple white cloth as everyone else, walk barefoot next to janitors and CEOs alike. You pray shoulder to shoulder, and it hits you hard. None of your titles matter here. Not your podcast, not your bank account, not your blue check mark. The only thing that matters is your intention. That realization, it broke me open in the best way. I started asking myself, what have I been chasing all this time? Recognition? Control? The illusion of security? What if all of that is just noise? I remember sitting on the floor of the Prophet's Mosque in Medina, watching this old man pour tea for strangers. He wasn't talking. He wasn't trying to teach. He was just serving. Quiet. Humble. Present. And I thought, that's it. That's what power looks like when it's not trying to prove anything. It made me question everything about what we call modern masculinity. We're told to dominate, to build, to grind. But I saw grown men weep in prayer. I saw men walk miles just to bow. I saw them hug their sons, hold their mothers' hands, cry openly, without shame. And that, to me, felt like strength. Not strength that needs to shout, but the kind that can stay soft without falling apart. That changed how I show up in my own home. I stopped trying to be the strong guy who always has the answers. I started just being there, present, curious, less preachy, more quiet, more available. And my relationships started changing. My kids opened up more. My conversations with friends went deeper. I even reached out to a couple people I had tension with for years, just to say, hey man, I see you. I'm sorry. No agenda. Just release. And let me tell you something that might sound strange. I started to feel lighter, like I'd been carrying weights I didn't even know were there. Expectations, grudges, old versions of myself. And when you start letting go of all that, you don't become less. You become more honest, more aligned. One of the imams we met said something I'll never forget. He said, peace doesn't come from what you hold. It comes from what you release. And I felt that in my chest. I mean, how many of us are walking around tense, bitter, anxious, all because we're gripping so tightly to stuff that's not even ours? Narratives, insecurities, pressure, proving, performing. It's exhausting. But Islam, in its rhythm, in its structure, it gives you a different path. One where you're not trying to win. You're trying to align, not with trends, not with approval, but with truth. And no, I'm not here trying to preach. I'm not trying to recruit anybody. I'm still figuring my own stuff out, every single day. I still lose my temper sometimes. I still mess up. I still get distracted. But I've tasted something different now, something deeper. And once you've felt that, once you've heard silence that's more powerful than applause, man, it's hard to go back. The prayer, the fasting, the Quran. It's not just for people in robes on mountains. It's for anyone who's tired of running on fumes. It's for anyone who's ready to trade noise for stillness, restlessness for rhythm, ego for intention. And maybe, if you've been chasing something and you're not even sure what it is, maybe it's not out there. Maybe it's inside. And maybe the reason we keep scrolling, buying, chasing is because we've forgotten what already lives within us. For me, Mecca wasn't about religion the way I used to think of it. It wasn't rules and punishments and fear. It was freedom. Discipline that doesn't confine. It liberates. Because when you wake up 5 times a day to pause and realign, you start to remember who you are and who you're not. And that doesn't just affect you, it spills into every conversation you have, every room you walk into, every person you love. So yeah, man, I went to Mecca thinking I'd observe something. Instead, I was the one being observed. By my own soul, by God, by the truth I kept dodging. And I didn't leave with answers. I left with better questions. And sometimes, that's exactly where the real journey begins.